There are some manga thieves on the loose, and they must be stopped. Recently, I was scrolling through Reddit when I saw this post, and I wanted to talk about it. People keep vandalizing the manga at my local library. Stop trying to remove barcodes and security tags from our manga. You are severely damaging them. The library cannot afford to replace damaged and stolen manga volumes. You're depriving everyone of free manga when you do this. Manga is very expensive. We will not be able to continue purchasing new manga if this keeps happening. Please respect your fellow manga lovers and read the manga in the library, or check it out normally with your free library card. The manga is already free. Please. Sad face emoji. So I don't know about you, but I think that public libraries are too OP. As many of us know, reading and collecting manga physically can get pretty expensive pretty quickly. So when I was younger and didn't have a lot of disposable income, I loved going to my local library to read manga. I was really lucky that the library near me offered a pretty large selection of manga, as well as other books, movies, and games, among many other materials and services. Plus, if they didn't have something available, you could request it from another library in the city, as long as it was in the system. Or you could request that they order a series that you were interested in reading. While they may not have always been able to fulfill your request, it didn't hurt to ask. The reason I'm bringing all of this up is because the manga section at my library opened my eyes to a lot of different series that I normally wouldn't have ever read, or even heard of in the first place. If it hadn't been for the library, I probably never would have expanded my horizons in the types of series that I like to read, but I was able to do that because it was a free public service that was offered. Going to the library instilled a love of reading for me, and probably for many others as well. So it sucks to see that a small group of bad actors have been ruining a good thing for the community. While I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here by saying this, I do think that if you steal from the library, you're like a reverse Robin Hood. Instead of sharing the wealth with others, you're taking it all for yourself. Specifically in the case of this Reddit post, it seems like people want to have their cake and eat it too. But that brings up the question, why are people doing this? I thought one of the commenters on the post that works as a librarian put it pretty well. I'm an elementary school librarian, and I'm constantly replacing barcodes on popular series books. I assume the kids want to be able to claim them as their own, but they never remove the spine labels, the interior barcode, or the school stamp on the title page. Thank goodness. With another commenter sharing further reasons for why this could be happening. This happened when I worked with teens at the library. Probably the kid doesn't have a card, or it has fines. I worked with several teens to get their cards cleared, and have them work with me on what manga to order. The issue this commenter brings up about fees preventing people from accessing the library's resources is a very important one, which is why over the past few years, many libraries across the world have gone partially or fully fine-free. Basically, they have stopped charging people for overdue fees on books and other materials, generally only charging for books or materials that are lost or damaged beyond repair and need to be replaced. The reasoning behind these changes is because many libraries have found that overdue fines disproportionately affect people who rely and would benefit the most from the library's resources. In many cases, being children, students, and those in low-income communities, since fines can deny users from checking out books or other materials, as well as block the use of computers and internet access, which could be used for things like studying, filling out job applications, and applying for other social services, since that may be someone's only source of internet access. To me, it just doesn't make sense to prevent someone from trying to better their life, when in many cases, it isn't a character flaw or a lack of responsibility that's stopping someone from paying off their fines. It's largely a financial barrier. While these policy shifts have benefited many people, libraries have also benefited greatly as well. The San Diego Public Library found that it costs more in staff time to collect overdue fees than the fees that were being collected, so they believed that a fine-free policy would allow for things that would be a better use of staff time and resources. Also, generally speaking, when libraries go fine-free, there are often huge waves of overdue books being returned, in some cases books that are even decades overdue. Libraries not only get books that were deemed lost back, but they also see an increase in the amount of people visiting and using their resources, because the financial anxiety has been lifted off of people, so they regain these visitors who may have never returned. Prior to these policy changes, in many ways strengthening the local community's connection. If you're interested in finding out if your city or town's library system is fine-free, I'll have a map of libraries that are fine-free in Canada and the US, linked in the description. If these lists aren't completely up to date, the next best place to look would be to search up your library's name with fine-free at the end. Another key issue that was brought up in the Reddit post from earlier was the fact that the library has limited funding. So if people keep vandalizing and trying to steal books, the library may not be able to buy more to replace what's been lost. Sources of funding for libraries can vary depending on where you are in the world, but generally they come from things like tax revenue. For example, property taxes from within the city or town's budget that the library is in. At this time, time. There are some library systems that are facing budget cuts, and in response to these budget cuts, libraries may have to scale back hours of operation, lose employees, and also see a reduction in the variety and amount of services that they can offer, which can be critical lifelines for many people. While this isn't necessary, if you do have the means to, you can consider monetarily supporting your local library through a donation, or see if they accept physical donations as well. If you have any extra books, movies, or games lying around that you don't use anymore and would be willing to part with, you can find out if they accept material donations by kindly asking a library employee, or by checking on their website to see if they accept physical donations. If your local library doesn't accept physical donations, or you're just looking for an alternative option, you can also go and see if there are any little free libraries near you. These are basically little boxes filled with books that can be found all around the world. At these libraries, people in the area can give or take a book whenever they would like to. If you would like to find out if there are any little free libraries near you, I'll have a map of them linked in the description as well. With all of that being said, I do understand that not everyone may be in the position to be able to make a donation, but I do think that everyone should still go and see what their local library has to offer, not just in terms of manga, but other materials and services as well, since you never know, it could surprise you. And just remember everyone,